Hey everybody, welcome back. Here we go. Northernlion, The Binding of Isaac, Afterbirth Plus, 2 wins in a row. We had Ipecac on our last run, which means that essentially I'm completely out of practice. Should not have done it. Hold on, here's our seed for posterity. 6A8N Bilb, but the second B is actually an 8. Why did I take the pill? I'm just gonna be honest. I thought with Kamikaze there was a chance that we would be on 1 HP, and thus the number of bad pills, I wouldn't necessarily say it's less than the number of good pills. However, I thought maybe the odds tilt somewhat in our favor, and in that case, a pill that actually gives you a health up or full health, or you know, there's always, of course, you can get a speed upgrade or a balls of steel, etc., etc., could save our lives instead of killing us. I guess the idea is that because a pill couldn't kill us, I thought for one reason or another that it was better to take them and possibly be on death's door. But I don't know. I'm starting to think that that decision was actually, like, omega bad. We have taken some damage, but we're going to get a Spirit Heart back in return. I will not use Kamikaze. Even to get another Tinted Rock, should it show up, I think using Kamikaze is the wrong idea. Anyway, that Spirit Heart solves a lot of problems. We know we have at least half a heart plus our Spirit Heart going on right now, which means we could use Kamikaze to get that Tinted Rock. We could use the Spirit Heart to get that Tinted Rock. That Tinted Rock could have anything. It could even have a Spirit Heart. Now, the run, all things considered, is pretty bad. Not trying to, you know, fish for sympathy or anything like that, but it is suboptimal. Rate of fire is pretty not good. Kamikaze, at the end of the day, it can be very, very valuable. But it can also, and, you know, as it is right now, this is how it stands, and it's also how it stands like 99% of the time, is essentially worthless. We do have a good trinket. I would feel comfortable classifying this trinket as very strong. The one thing I'll say about Kamikaze is that one way or the other, it gives you flexibility. You know, you may not want to spend HP to get whatever you're going to get out of it, but it gives you the chance to do so. Like, for example, if you can get a Tinted Rock and a Secret Room simultaneously, maybe you consider it worth it. If you can blow up a donation machine and the shopkeeper's statue at the same time, maybe, you know, that you find that worth it. So there's always, like, it gives you options. I would never deny the options. But it's just not a superb item for us overall. Nor is Hushy, for that matter. But that's okay. I was kind of hoping we'd get a little extra money here. That's the thing that I'm looking for. Because an arcade, like right now, we could use the fact that we get extra money to get an arcade on the next floor a little bit more easily. And then on top of that, if we have an arcade on the next floor, Lord have mercy, you know? That's like really where Counterfeit Penny can really shine. So I want you to know, I don't look at this like, oh man, like I'm such a genius for using little Hushy like this, especially because it did nearly cause us to take damage right there. But I also think that it may genuinely be like the fastest way to kill this guy, and that burns me up more than anything else for sure. If we could just steer enemies into it. Maybe our damage isn't that bad, but it had me questioning things for sure. Alright, no Curse of the Unknown, please. No Curse of the Unknown. Beautiful. We actually had pretty solid HP. So I'm going to say what you don't want to hear it, but I'm going to say it regardless. We actually could use Kamikaze. I'm not. It has to be for a good cause. It can't be willy-nilly. But there is a circumstance in our lives here where it benefits us, though I'm loath to admit it. I have no idea, by the way, if this is actually faster to be doing things the way we're doing them. But I'm going to hit you with something sad. I certainly don't think it's much slower. I could be wrong about that, though. I could be misrepresenting it. I'm surprised, though. This is the first time, I think, in my whole life I've ever deigned to use... See, it's tempting. It's tempting. It's the first time in my whole life I've ever deigned to use Little Hushy in this capacity. You can use it to kill bosses. Okay, that was no good. That was no good. Particularly like bosses that remain largely stationary, and I'm not talking about Paper Mario. You know, you can get a lot of value out of that. Especially when your damage is kind of garbage, like mine is right now. Another key is it's always nice, and varicose veins is actually, it's not great, but it's okay. Counterfeit penny finally paid out. I'm gonna be a smart guy instead of being a dumb guy. I've spent a lot of time in my life being a dumb guy. Let's do some smart guy things, like for example buying the spirit heart to preserve our deal with the devil chance, so that maybe we can get an item that actually appreciably, you know, moves the chains and allows us to have a better chance of victory in the future. But for now, we lack a lot of options. See, like I'm very glad that I did buy the spirit heart, but I'm also a little embarrassed, which I think is completely justifiable. Kind of thought these guys would just blow themselves out on the red poops. Anyway, this, I'm hopeful, like having a lot of HP is always amazing. And we do have what I would call a lot of HP. I'm hopeful this run is going to get it sorted out. I think I have tunnel vision a little too hard on the use of Little Hushy. If you see a situation where it would be apropos, don't hesitate to use it, but don't tunnel vision on it. Your damage is not that bad. It's certainly pretty bad, but it's not so horrendous as to render the whole experiment moot. Now that time I'm going to be honest, I don't know if there was a way out for us, but we can still we can compromise. Something like that. You know, while we're here, probably don't want to take it too hard. There we go. You know what? We're here. Let's do it. One makes you small. Power pill. Verping the power pill is actually pretty nice. The other one was one makes you small. Verping the power pill, there's money to be made there. I wish we had an arcade, but so be it. I'm having fun with this run. That's where I'm at right now. I don't think we're playing it particularly well. But on the other hand, I think that we're having a giggle, perhaps. This would be a great time to beat the odds. It's always a good time, but this would be like a really, really meaningful time. Maybe next time then. Okay, well, you know, it's just the kind of thing that it'll burn you up a little bit when you get a matchbook, but it contains 2 troll bombs. Do we know this? It's Verp. Verp will give us a power pill. That's not bad. Hold on, hold on. I know we've spent 20 minutes on this floor. Yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't this an Isaac's room, which could have access to the black market? It doesn't. In fact, it has an exploding fly, which is just kind of insulting. Oh well. Anyway, today, like as mentioned in the last episode, today is a Sunday. It's been actually like a really good day so far. I've recorded 4 videos. Oh, this is the 4th video. I would say it's been 3 wins so far. Now, in Spelunky 2, you gotta use, you know, it's like figure skating. It's not high jump, you know? It's not an objective win, but you use your brain to be like, you know, did this feel good? I had 2 good Spelunky 2 episodes today. Last Isaac episode was a win. I'm hopeful we can continue that. I have no idea what I'm going to play on stream today. Kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern. Waiting for some stuff to come to pass. You know, want to introduce more variety. Don't just want to play Rocket League over and over. Like, to be honest with you, I've kind of been enjoying this renaissance of playing games that are so bad they're good. The problem is, and you might be... Well, there's a couple of problems. One is, it always feels bad spending 40 bucks on a game that's kind of trash. I hate to say it, but it's true. Even though it's, you know, people will be like, oh, just write it off. But people that don't write things off, they don't understand how write-offs work. I don't blame them. I mean, I barely understood how write-offs work, or I barely understand them now. Much less, like, you know, before I knew what I was doing. Hold on, we got a little double door bell here. No sweat, just a delivery. Kind of want to vert power pill this, honestly. Not good for HP, but good for my sanity. I didn't even know you could get deliveries on Sunday. That hurt. That hurt me a lot. I mean, you know, it's not a delivery from Canada Post. It's an Amazon thing. But I thought even Amazon didn't deliver on Sundays. I don't know, man. Now I'm suspicious. Anyway, the most important thing is it's not the PS5. And as a result, I'm going to send it back. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, yes, writing things off, but also buying bad video games. It always feels bad to pay money for something that's bad. You know, it's a very limited sort of negativity. Like 30 bucks for the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game keeps me up at night. 40 bucks for the new Family Feud game. It made a fun video, it made a fun stream. I had a good time with it, but I will admit it was, you know, from an objective standpoint, there is a little, like, value/budget consumer inside of me that's like, that was not a good idea. You won't walk into them, huh? Like, you're approaching me, but you won't walk into them. Anyway. There we go. So I don't know what we're gonna play. Always love a good FMV game. I gotta tell you that we played Little Hope recently. So Little Hope is the new game from the... It's the second, supposedly, of 8, which I think is optimistic, let's put it that way. But that's the way it was planned. Games in the Dark Pictures Anthology, which is the new pseudo-FMV adventure games from the studio that made Until Dawn. Until Dawn, lovely game. Beautiful game. Don't have a bad word to say about it. Every other game they've made, I've kind of been a little spotty. And Little Hope was a great Sunday game. I had a wonderful time. However, in terms of, like, would I recommend this to the end consumer? No, I hate to say it. Because I love playing those sorts of games, especially for, like, an audience. It's kind of like a more cheesy, schlocky, sort of, like, Walking Dead style thing. I will do it, but I'm a little perturbed. I was hoping for something a little better, but this is genuinely not bad. But I think that they sadly mostly work through, like, so bad it's good sort of situation. So I'm looking for more like that, but those games don't come around all that often. Like, there's no shortage of games out there that are not that great. I don't want to be like an edgelord, but, you know, there's games out there that are not great for different reasons. Some games are like, hey, this is fine, but it's not worth 60 bucks. This game, hey, it's not innovative. Some games have, like, bad stories, but kind of in an unremarkable way. It takes a special game to hit that so bad it's good sort of, you know, Goldilocks zone. So I cannot remember, between the delivery and the rest of the curse here, cannot remember at all if we have been to our item room or shop. I gotta think we've been to our item room. I'm leaving. I've gotta believe we've been to our item room, because I think that's where we got the X-ray goggles. But the shop, I bet we did not go to, but it's okay. But we definitely will be eager, if possible, to go to the shop on this floor. Like, the run is now, I feel comfortable saying it's kind of garbage. It lacks, like, all of the... Ooh, that was so close. It lacks all/any of the things you need a good run to have. Bad rate of fire, bad damage, bad HP. We do have a deal with the devil precedent, but it took us longer to get, which is my own fault, admittedly. We took some dumb damage. But, you know, we're just, like, we kind of got nothing. Just a very, very remarkably unremarkable run. Like, the only thing remarkable about this run right now is how little it's got going for it. So I hope this is our secret room. I wanted to go to the, there we go. I wanted to go to the curse room for free. Any enemy that... Oy, I'm so dumb, dude. I was gonna say, any enemy that approaches me should be relatively easy for us to stop with Hushy, but this one, I'll admit, psychologically, I think we got more of a problem than anything else. Okay, so what would I do here? I would fish for a magic mush, which is just like basically waiting for a dream. This should be good. Get 2 birds stoned at once. Might take forever for us to hit the other corner on this one, so don't sweat it. Not gonna happen. That's okay. Easy money. We will desperately search for our item room. I mean, like, this is... And you're gonna turn me into a very negative guy right here. I'm not a negative guy. I'm a very nice guy. I'm happy-go-lucky. Like Tommy Lee Jones in the movie Man of the House. This is my happy face. I feel like the only time you'll ever see Tommy Lee Jones smile is when he's cashing checks for the Japanese commercials he films for Boss Coffee. Anyway, no offense, Mr. Jones. And me doing coffee commercials. Sure, you smiled, you know, at your daughter's wedding or something like that. I'm just saying, like, in movies, you're renowned for kind of being a little bit more sour. Well, actually, no, he smiles a lot in Batman Forever, which might be one of the reasons that movie feels so unsettling. But regardless, don't turn me into a Mr. Negative here, but this is the kind of run, you know, there's various bad flavors. You can get poop-flavored ice cream. Universally a negative thing, right? Diarrhea-flavored frozen yogurt from Nathan For You. This is not stuff that you'd be, you know, eager to cram down your pie hole. Especially not out of anything other than curiosity. But then you could also just have, like, hey, you know, black licorice. Not my favorite flavor, but there's some degree of appetizingness associated with it. This is the poop-flavored frozen yogurt. There is, as of right now, essentially no redeeming value on this run. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. What the heck are we going to do with a doubled store credit, dude? We save it. That's what we do. It's the kind of run where if you were not streaming or recording it, you would probably just hold the R button and restart it. Because it is, like, it's just kind of, like, bad. I got hopes that it's going to get there. This is one where, like, there's still, like, 1 or 2 people out there that play these seeds out of curiosity, I think. If you're doing that here, I would absolutely love to know what was in that first deal with the devil. If you didn't throw it away, and I'll admit we threw it away. If you didn't throw it away, what'd you get out of it? Did you get yourself a little mom's knife? You know what? If you got mom's, just lie to me. Tell me it was betrayal or something like that, because I don't want to know. I know I said I'm dying to know. I think what I meant to say is I'd die if I found out. Just lie to me and tell me it's trash. Because if it's good, it's gonna cause me, it's gonna do psychic damage. Like Mewtwo. Actually, Mewtwo is a dark steel type. I don't know, man. Like Abra. Abra does psychic damage, but they only have teleport unless you... Okay, I don't know, alright? Like Alakazam. I just, you know, just in case some point in the future somebody has a gun to your head and they ask you a very specific question about Pokemon, I wouldn't want you to be wrong and have somebody judge you as a result. Okay, this is good. Just getting a stats upgrade, all of a sudden, I'm feeling good. Feeling mighty. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Okay, really, like, how long will it take you to actually contact the hitbox of Gertie? I think it's gonna happen. Let's go. Still our best source of damage, unfortunately. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. 1 in 400 chance, here we go. Range and luck, sadly not really what I'm looking for. But again, I have to blame myself for the damage we took there. You shouldn't be taking damage against Gertie in pretty much any circumstance at this point in your life. There are some excuses, like for example, I would say one valid excuse is like, I've got no damage. And our DPS really is like, you know, for the 4th floor, this is a level of DPS where you would be like, if we started with this, I would be like, okay, it's a decent run. But this ain't the start, brother. Now, if I told you this run was going to come to pass, you'd be like, yeah, but you probably have like a bunch of HP, right? That's not the case, unfortunately. We are also running emergency levels of HP. That being said, we have a spacebar item that can start to pull us out of the muck. Don't like the word muck. I much prefer... Muck is like, you know, that's the word... Let me think about it. It's got to be better than that. It's not bad, but it's got to be better. I prefer the word mire. The idea that, like, you know, the mire is like a Witcher word. That's why I like it. Instead of being like, you got your truck stuck in the muck, you could be like, we were bogged down in the mire. Until Jared showed up with his Dodge Ram and pulled us out of the swamp. Alright, so we're gonna blow this up. We're gonna blow this up. I know that we do get a tiers upgrade every time we lose a bone heart. Can it continue? It can. Can it continue? It's a little dangerous. But remember, 3 HP is not... Okay, well, we took that, so we'll stay on this then. But 3 HP is much less than 3 bone hearts. 3 bone hearts is like, you know, probably the equivalent of... I mean, when you start to lose one, you're going to start to lose them all. But it's probably the equivalent of like 5 HP. It's probably not effectively a doubling, but it's really good. So we can honestly feel pretty happy about the situation we're in now. That's also huge, although I'm like, how does this even work? I don't know, man. Like, okay. Here we are, right? We got some stuff out of it. We got some stuff out of it. We don't need to go to our other special room. We're good to go. Get me out of here. The run is now good. And it's good in spite of me, not like because of me. So I'm not going to count my chickens on this one at all. I recognize my chickens essentially were given to me. So why count them? I'll just look at the register. I don't know what I'm talking about. What I do know is that all of a sudden our stats are really good. Now, we paid a pretty heavy price. We gave up... well, not really. I was going to say we gave up all our HP, but we didn't have any to begin with. So actually, we paid almost nothing. This is like an extreme couponing sort of deal. Let's not get into that again. Ruffles some feathers, apparently. Didn't realize. But either way, we're moving on. This is Depths 1. Okay, so it's a very slow run. I don't mind this because we can fly. That's very nice. It's a very slow run. As of right now, but it's definitely picked up to an absurd degree. I would feel comfortable calling this one right now. I think we are going to come out of this smelling like a rose by any other name that smells as sweet. You know what I was thinking about? Like, so people think that this is like I'm caricaturizing myself. It's really not the case. And anytime I tweet things like this, people go like, this guy's definitely high on Potanoose right now. But I resent the idea that you can only have curious thoughts under the influence of a legal, illegal, or semi-legal narcotic, you know? Depending on where you live. I know you're like, you didn't answer the question. Well, I was not high on Potanoose, okay? But I was thinking, so I was in the bathroom doing what one does, and I was just thinking, like, man, isn't it amazing? Like, can you imagine how much harder life would be if we didn't have modern sewers? Like, in terms of all the inventions, I feel like whenever people, and we talked about this with inventors recently, about how I feel like, you know, astrophysicists get, I don't want to say too much credit, but they get a disproportionate amount of credit for being geniuses, and then people who are like engineers, in my opinion, or designers don't get as much. Or artists for that matter. I'm not trying to, you know, ruffle the feathers of, I'm not trying to become a STEM lord, for example, even though I do have a 4-year degree in the sciences. Yeah, but it's biology, which is kind of like, okay, yeah, mind your tongue, okay? Be careful. Choose your next words carefully. You're not wrong, but still, be nice. But I was thinking about, like, imagine everybody when they talk about, you know, most important inventions. Sure, you know, there's some good, important stuff. Cellular telephones, of course. Computers, the internet, you know, airbags, seatbelts, synthetic insulin. Like, there's a lot of penicillin. You know, there's a lot, but so few people, I feel like they give the... Nobody recognizes the magic of wastewater treatment plants, in my opinion. Every once in a while, I mean, I take it for granted 99.9% of the time, but every once in a while I remember. You know, you flush your waste down the toilet, and then 6 months later, you, like, open your tap. That's a word. You can say that. Open your tap. And then, like, crystal clear drinking water comes out. And I've read the synopsis of how it happens, like 1,000 times. I still never remember. But you would think, like, oh, they just kind of treat it, right? They just treat it with chemicals or maybe, like, ultraviolet radiation or something like that. It's not like that. It's actually, like, a crazy involved process. You know, the water, like, ingress comes out of your, you know, they, like... I mean, not your building specifically, but, like, the city collects, like, a lot of ingress if you live near a wastewater treatment plant. If you live in a rural area, it's a little different, but... and then that goes into, like, a settling tank where it sits for 6 to 20 days, over the course of which time all the... Well, first it passes through, like, a couple filters so that all the big detritus gets... you know, filtered out and taken to the landfill, but then it goes into a settling tank, and that allows, like, a sludge to be formed on top, and then the sludge is scraped off and taken to the landfill, and, then, like, you know, that leaves, like, or I should say the scum gets filtered off and taken to the landfill, because that leaves, like, a biofuel sludge on the bottom of the settling tank, which then can be used as a highly concentrated form of fuel in order to actually, like, power and heat the wastewater treatment plant itself, which is just, like, crazy to me. It's like some oxygen not included stuff or some RimWorld stuff, right? And then it passes through, like a masher, and then it goes into a secondary settling tank, at which point, you know, it's almost completely handled, and then they add in, they force in, like, oxygen and bacteria, which digests all of the invisible waste, or at least, like, 99.9% of the invisible waste in the water to get it up to, like, a drinkable level. And then they, and I say they, I mean the talented people at the facilities, you know? Then they treat it with ultraviolet radiation, and then after all that, it's, like, good to go. That's insane! If you're going, so what? I think you're part of the problem. You don't recognize the majesty of that? And what that means, like, we take it for granted. Oh, I don't want to drink any water. I want to drink some soda. You know, it's incredible, man. The journey that a single, like, molecule of... Well, I guess molecule is the wrong word in this capacity, but you know what? That's just because I like you. Let's do this. But basically, like, the journey that, you know, a liter of contaminated water, like from brushing your teeth or something like that, it's probably not a liter, but you get the idea. Just as a back of the napkin calculation, the journey that water goes on to then become reusable and potable, like, we gotta have more appreciation for that, dude. It's crazy. I don't think we should be taking that for granted. Like, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive that we have, you know, like your cell phone, you can look up, like, anything, and then it beams that information up to a satellite. The satellite, you know, goes looking for it and beams it back down to you. That's incredible. I can't even fathom the... I mean, I can sort of fathom it, I guess, but... you know, in terms of the actual, like, mechanics of how that works, it's so far beyond me as to be, like, a farce. But so is wastewater treatment. So if you gave me like a glass of dirty water and were like, how would you treat this? I would be like, I have no idea. Like, how do you get mud out of water? I didn't know until I read the article, at least. Let me out. Anyway, I'm just saying, we shouldn't take that stuff for granted. That's crazy. Can you imagine how much harder life would be if we didn't have wastewater treatment plants? And I don't just mean like wastewater treatment plants, because you might be like, huh, hey city boy, like, I live in the country, we got a septic tank. The septic tank is like in some ways even more impressive to me. It functions on like a similar principle where like you keep your, and you're like, oh no, here he goes again. But you keep your waste, you know, in a big tank, and then the tank settles, and then that allows like a solid layer to form on the top that is the like major pollutant in the water, at least the major visible pollutant that can then be scraped off and disposed of by like a removal company, or you, I guess, if you like to get your hands dirty and you got a weak sense of smell. And then the actual water itself, this is what blows my mind, dude. The way that the wastewater from septic tanks is treated is that you basically just pour it into the ground. And as long as the soil has like a healthy composition, and don't quote me on this, like you should definitely do your own research on this one. But as long as the soil is healthy and has like a good amount, like microbial life and bacteria in it, the theory is that essentially just the particulate of the dirt and the sand combined with the actual like metabolic activity of the organisms in the soil will at least adequately, if not 100%, at least adequately purify the water by the time it actually reaches the groundwater and goes back into the water table. That's incredible. Like if you don't have a sense of wonder about that, honestly, you can just leave. That's the sort of thing that makes you think like Mother Nature has a guiding hand. I'm careful with the way I phrase that, but it's like, really? You can just take water with poop in it, and then essentially, you know, once you remove the actual poop, you can just let it like percolate back down to the water table and be like, you know, good to go? That's crazy, dude. It's amazing. Now, it did also say that something like, you know, 25% of septic tanks, well, 25% of wells that were on the same property as septic tanks actually had dangerous levels of like coliform bacteria. But like, let's just ignore that part. The fact that it's not 100% is truly one of nature's little miracles in my mind. Okay, we are doing a bad thing here. Really, I mean, you know what I'm going to tell you. We shouldn't have taken marked, even as a joke, but here we are. Like, that was what I was... I hate that the answer I came up with for, like, people that we should appreciate more, in addition to... Not instead of. In addition to astrophysicists, I hate that my brain was like the guy who invented the frozen pizza. I'll live with that until my dying day. That my prototypical example for an underappreciated genius is man who invented freezer pizza. However, this is more what I was getting at, you know? And it's probably like a series of discoveries, to be fair. It's not just like one person was like, I got an idea. But, you know, everybody involved in the chain of discovery that led to modern wastewater treatment. Stand up and take a bow. Austin Powers Gold member. Because that's incredible. Honestly, like, my life is so much easier because of your actions. Which is true, essentially, of everybody out there that's working a real job right now. At least I acknowledge it. I would like a red heart, please. Who would have thought when I was waxing philosophical about... I know you're going to say wastewater treatment plants. No, when I was waxing philosophical about what 3 bone hearts are worth, who would have thought I'd actually find myself only having those 3 bone hearts to choose from? Oh, by the way, my bone heart! You gotta say it. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. That's more what I mean. Similarly, like, and I'm being straight up with you, why don't we know the names of the people who invented, like, traffic lights? I know it seems like a minor thing, but can you imagine how much worse it would be to drive? And I know, by the way, on the internet, you can't say anything anymore. I'm not one of the types that's like, oh, everybody's offended too easily, but we all get sidetracked too easily. Like, you can praise the inventor of the traffic light without also getting into a discussion that's like, oh, but really cities shouldn't be designed that much for cars to begin with. So actually, the guy who invented the traffic light was an enabler of one of history's greatest mistakes. No, it's not, you know, look, just log off for like an hour a day. That's all. I just go outside and see people going through their days and like just trying to make it work. It'll give us all a sense of perspective. Instead of like, yo, you get mad at me and then I get mad at you and then you take that out on the forums and then the forums take that out on, you know, their kids. We got to stop the cycle of negativity, you know? When I'm praising the guy who invented the traffic light, there's no subtext there that's like, you know, cities should not be more walkable or bikeable, all right? Regardless. Anyway, I digress. Can you imagine how much harder it would be, how much longer every drive would be if instead of traffic lights, you had 4-way stops at every intersection? Oh my god, dude, I don't even want to know. It would, like, quintuple the amount of time it takes you to get anywhere. It'd be terrible. And then, like, I don't even understand, like, how... Like, there's different ways that traffic lights work, right? Like, some of them are connected to timers, whereas just like, oh, for, you know... This will stay on for 30 seconds, and then it'll turn yellow for 3 seconds, and then it'll turn red. But some of them are on, like, pressure plates. And some of them are, like, in Vancouver, for sure, some of them are connected to, like, pedestrian-controlled buttons. So, like, a light will stay green indefinitely until a pedestrian that needs to cross pushes the button, and then it'll be like, okay, in 10 seconds, the light's gonna change. That's amazing. Like, well, the ones that are on timers, are they all on independent timers, or is there, like, a supercomputer somewhere in City Hall that controls them all? By which I mean, like, can you just programmatically and remotely be like, hey, you know, the light on Queen Street is too long. People that need to get across, you know, it takes them, you know, 4 minutes of standing at the intersection even when there's no cars coming. Anyway. Forgot what I was talking about. Constantly. Today's episode is dedicated to the inventors, anybody who played a role in the invention of the modern sewer system, as well as those who implemented, who have a hand in the implementation and maintenance of the modern sewer systems. Thank you so much. It's on your shoulders that we're able to enjoy clean water if you live in an area where you are able to enjoy it on a regular basis. Thank you so much. And also, and I don't mean to take away from the sewers, but we're going to give another big shout out to the people who invented and implemented traffic lights. Some traffic lights are not optimal. Like, there's things I would change. However, the fact that they exist at all is way better. It's way better than them not existing. So thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it a great deal. And Albert Einstein, you can get fricked, buddy. Nobody cares, Albert. My discovery... Why is he Dracula? My discovery allows for modern telemetry and all communications networks. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares. E equals MC, go somewhere else. We're praising the inventor of the traffic light today, okay? What, you don't get enough attention up in heaven, Albert? Everybody's always posting a picture of you with your tongue sticking out. Isn't that weird? I invented relativity. Isn't that weird? Well, I came up with the concept of general relativity. It's not something you can invent, actually. It was kind of... Hey, we're talking about poop, okay? Anyway, it's a good run. Even with Mark, we managed to make it work. Hope you enjoyed it. It's not over yet, but I still hope you're enjoying it as we speak. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. We have 3 wins in a row. How about that? See ya!